It's time to begin my citizens' self-guided tour of the National Museum of African American History and Culture before it is gutted by the President of the United States. I must say, it's very pretty on the inside. Like, I don't know what that is supposed to be, but it looks very cool. Like, a lot of this will probably be new to me, because while I have a large understanding of history, it always evolves. It has to. And new and very black contemporary voices and historical voices are being brought to the fore here in a way that the president doesn't like. Okay, on to level 4. Okay, on to the culture galleries. Let's see. Sense of liberation, who can lock them up? Very powerful message. This is reminding me of that one sequence in Sinners at the juke joint where all sorts of African American musical figures from both past and present start dancing. Anyway. Let me try and think of a Trumpist edit for this. Some people used to pay for this, but now we don't have to anymore because America is perfect. Anyway. Does not look fun. Well, not always perfectly, but yeah, they did acknowledge at least. I mean, I'm happy that Washington, D.C. is a pioneer in this particularly, and would love for my fiance's Swazi recipes to become part of the culinary conversation. But alas, cracking down on immigrants from asshole countries, so stupid idiot. Anyway, definitely looking at this book for sure. Since I'm doing my own research into an African coded culture for my steampunk novel. That looks like it could be on Spider-Man's costume. That is so cool. And I would totally go for Spider-Man from Africa for exactly this reason. Just because the motif is that cool. I mean, we already have Miles Morales, but Africans who are in DC more recently often see themselves very differently from African Americans, and that is a distinction that needs to be acknowledged too. Anyway.
Here's my honesty, my work undressed, laid, stretched across piano, traded like cattle, raped like animal, left for dead, sucked dry for inspiration, and love with the idea of living long enough to simply write about it, push it out my body and watch my son slowly grow into it. You said you want a poem. Now what you gonna do?
That weighs heavily on me because of my fiance's son, and because I have to take a lot of care when drawing inspiration from historical cultures to not just take and not give back. So, when I do publish that, I will be opening up that universe to collaboration with all sorts of authors from any culture that wants to be part of this, part of the world of Taraja. Anyway, fascinating poem. Excuse me. Sorry. Ooh. It's interesting how two different mixed cultures from two different sides of the Caribbean could of the Gulf of Mexico, excuse me, could both be called Creole because of French supremacism. Anyway. Wow, that hard stuff. Yeah, nearly all. That is true. Again, I could spend all day in this museum and not capture everything, but I'm trying to save as much as possible from censorship. Anyway. Nice, I did not know this. I like the trophy for that too. Their stories could be erased by a dictator. It makes me sick. Door knocker earrings. Oh, cool.
I know. Fancy like earrings. I could never wear those. I never had a pair. I didn't. Well, come on.
My girlfriend from Swaziland could, and she would look amazing with any earrings. She does look amazing with any earrings that she chooses. Because she's so stylish.
Yes.
And our little man's so handsome. I miss him so much. Gonna see them in October, though, so it's all good. Well, that is a shirt. Wow.
Firmed up the house. Firm brothers.
That's right.
Learning about all sorts of cool new people today.
Look at him.
Oh, yes, Ted got some. Oh, yes.
The way he's sitting.
Yes.
You remember cross colors, man, from the 90s?
Yeah.
That was from the 90s? I thought it was modern.
No, cross colors from the 90s.
I gotta say.
1990,
But it still
yeah.
looks so cool.
Yeah. Cross colors from the 90s. Man.
Timeless.
Way back.
Wow. Did not know that. Nice.
I can see it. Imagine this in your house.
Yes, I know.
Like,
This would be like your refresher. You know, like when
It
you
might
refresh.
have to be in your house
Yeah.
after Trump guts the Smithsonian.
music, and then you just chill. You know, it just,
It's refreshing. You all.
it's I was staying when I go.
Look at Al's mustache, man. God,
It's long as in the hair. James, okay.
You know, they see that red camera.
Yeah.
She's out. Oh. Wow. What an amazing blend of inspirations. I can see this really making a great statement at Spelman College. I can also see why people had to make statements without words. It sucks, but I never really had to understand that, but it's good to record these before they're taken away from the public knowledge.
That's what was right.
Oh, you know she's making, you know she's like, I'm famous.
How she get it?
I don't know, but she is.
Because we hadn't seen that, right? We ain't seen none of that.
Picture of him, but he is.
I need to see that movie again. It's been a while since I've seen The Color Purple. Maybe I'll do that tonight. Because, like, one of Steven Spielberg's greatest movies after Schindler's List. That is some good attitude.
That's a nice picture.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
And love the idea of living long enough to simply write about it, push it out my body, and watch my son slowly grow into it. You said you want a poem.
This is a nice
That's what you gonna do.
You can see the hope that they all had for him.
Yes.
It'll do the same for my sponsor fiance who can't be here. So I'm partially recording this for her.
Okay.
And our little man. Oops, excuse me. Sorry. All the foods that I have experienced only like 1% of the potential amazing cuisines here in DC from African cuisine or African American cuisine, let alone just all the other cultures here. So this is going to be my favorite part. Oh, it has. Okay, definitely gonna check that out then. Let's see. Wow, quite the symbol. Yeah, I figured it was New Orleans. My friend was just there and I'm so jealous. Let's see. Tasting history with Max Miller. Get on this, please. Favorite dish. Oh. Okay. Whatever you do it with style. Well, I need to figure out who that woman is, the top hat. She is very stylish. Nice. It's sad that most of these are new names to me. Because I get a chef at the White House. That would have been awesome, but I understand why you didn't. Ducky chases. All that stuff looks really good. Anyway. Oh. Another great quote. Let's see.
Here's my honesty, my work.
I wonder how many fences like this I've passed by and not known who actually made them. Or assumed it was a white person by accident, you know? Because unconscious bias affects everybody. Whether the president puts his fingers in his ears and goes la 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 about it or not, you know? Or rather puts his fingers down America's throat to keep them from speaking about it. Refugio. I gotta look up the history of that, because that sounds really interesting. This seems like a very interesting commentary on how black people often have to act white and mask in order to survive. I understand the phenomenon of masking in a different way as an autistic person and someone who now has to do that because of my gender identity, has to wear all sorts of things. It's hard for anybody, but I can't understand just the weight of code switching in that respect for black people specifically. It still saddens me, of course. But you know what? Contrasting that is all this black joy on this image, which is really cool to see. I would have thought this image was like from the 1920s, 30s. Certainly styled that way, but still really cool. Anytime that anybody's able to imitate such a retro style for new expression, I'm utterly fascinated. Because saying something new with old things takes effort, for sure. Two rows, two baskets, huh? Okay, well, I'm sorry she didn't get to finish it, because that other basket is really cool. But I can see how she's trying to make a statement about how African American men were forced to make this. Now she's elevating it, I think. Okay. Unsaddle with candle. That really makes for an amazing focal point for this photograph, this bracelet. Because, well, the statement is, if I'm understanding correctly, well, now the cuffs that you had on my hands before are mine and they're styled my way. So I'm taking back that message. Taking back my arm, you know, my body, my choice to wear what I want with it. Again, if I'm understanding correctly. This whole place is packed with fascinating stuff. But of course it's gonna get changed quite drastically very soon, unfortunately. So donate to the Smithsonian, and then don't after the changes are made. Colored white. Interesting. Because they were probably collected for white people first, but now they're taking them. You know? A tree? I see. To build something of your own. As in Freemason? Oh, maybe. Maybe. But not just the carpentry skill. Harriet Tubman's buried in my dad's hometown because she lived in Auburn, New York through 1913, through her death. Looks like a cornerstone for something. Maybe just a house, but... roundhouses. Interesting. I definitely want to check that out in the Third Ward. In such a Fifth Ward bubble. But I'm probably going to join the community watch organization to try and watch out for unmarked ice goons wearing masks for reasons other than protecting their identity disputers like me. Anyway. Shotgun houses. I've never heard of that, but, well, I'm learning a lot new today, which is amazing. Let's see. Better. Especially when divided by highways, and apparently the funds of about $1 billion from the Inflation Reduction Act that were supposed to go towards tearing down highways that divided communities, just stolen by the king. Fucking impoundment. Anyway. That sounds like it would have been a lot of fun. Even just this one image I could get lost in for 10 minutes by itself if I had all the time in the world.
Creativity has enriched the world around us.
But that won't be allowed because DEI. Bullcrap. Sorry. Oh, no, you're good. For my fiance's culture, I found a cookbook, but she said it wasn't very accurate. Maybe I write one with her help. That could be cool. Because like the way she makes Portuguese chicken alone is amazing. Without any measurements, so it might be tricky to put in a cookbook, but still. Apparently, she just pours until the ancestors tell her to stop, which is an amazing way of looking at that. Tales of the trade, indeed. Magnolite. Huh. Back when things were actually made to endure rather than be replaced in a year.
100 years later, President Benjamin Harrison made headlines when he brought Dolly Johnson to replace the French chef in the White House kitchen. Over the centuries, we fed millions, often toiling in obscurity. But today, at least, black chefs enjoy greater visibility. In 1949, Edna Lewis brought homestyle cooking to Manhattan's East Side, where she fed wealthy white patrons and earned rave reviews for the simple recipes of her childhood. In Louisiana, Leah Chase's restaurant became a gathering place for people from all walks of life. Creoles always use time.
And of course, the ice goons are targeting Columbia Heights, where street vendoring is very prevalent.
In Washington, D.C., Patrick Hart brought a fresh perspective to Black
That's fascinating.
Adams Hotel just blocked from the White House. In Georgia, Go around the square and chestnut with the puppet. Let's go straight to our prayer and teachers.
And that on her head. That seems intentional, like an intentional callback to West Africa, maybe, but I'm not sure. This is a guess. In theory, it shouldn't be so fraught to borrow dances from other cultures because it would be a sign of respect, hopefully. But a lot of people don't really do that on TikTok, and it's unfortunate. But our culture has come to this that it's just that's just okay now. Okay, here we go. Definitely gonna follow all those rules. Oh, so okay. I did not see that at first.
No.
This is definitely the era of people interpreting their own history as the official history is crumbling to fascism. Apparently that was too much for conservatives to focus on black people for 4 years and try to help them out. Couldn't stand it. So they voted in a fascist to get rid of that stuff. So they never have to think about race and they can live in their fucking la la land where America is perfect and we never have to atone for the sins of our past ever again. Unbelievable. This is why I started HistoryFlights Productions, to fight for the truth, justice, and historical accuracy that we need. Breonna Taylor's life did matter, and you know what? The cop got a very late slap on the wrist. What a surprise. I mean, I knew it was bad before Black Lives Matter, but just the extent was so covered up. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Justice for Trayvon Martin. Justice for George Floyd. What that means is accurate retelling of history at minimum. But that's going to be erased. Because one white president who has never had to struggle is uncomfortable. Fuck him. Oh, that's Michael B. Jordan. He'll be okay, but he'll have to suppress his connections to this probably, or get sued or something. And now I hope that saving this goes in some part to try to preserve that legacy. Oh, there's the Soweto thing from the sign from earlier. Oh, I gotta look into the history of that. Again, that sounds like a very suppression of the civil rights protests. Bad relevant artists. Probably bad in the sense of like cool from African American vernacular English, I think. But that's just an educated guess. A very, very little educated guess. As a white person. Anyway. We definitely need another march on Washington. At this rate. Because it was like 2 million people that showed up. No regime is going to fire on 2 million people. But the capital class keeps us chained to our jobs, so we can't protest. The only reason the BLM protests got as big as they did was because of the pandemic. And that's why the elites got scared and installed fascism. Powerful stuff. Again, March on Washington. None of these words will be erased by the president as long as I have HistoryFlights Productions. And if he silences this video, then we're in a dictatorship, and then the unthinkable. Wow. Haunting stuff. You really feel, I imagine, like you are on the wrong side of history if you support America, no matter what you do. Or if you support the patriotic construction of America as the bastion of the world's freedom, while it doesn't really bother with consistency at home. That was a powerful point of propaganda for the Soviet Union back then. For a reason, and that was part of what the appeal for African countries was, to let in communism, was fighting against the West. Anyway. The Muhammad Ali podcast for American History Tellers, I think it is. That really blew my mind on just how weird the Nation of Islam could get, but lost a good person. Was fighting for his rights, and he was strident about violence, but at that point I suppose he thought that was the only choice, and I can kind of understand that. Again, I wonder what labels for these things will be edited to say. What's the Smithsonian kowtows? That looks like actual wood from a fence of some kind, probably. right, but oh, god damn it. The only reason my family got into the middle class was because my grandparents served in the Navy and Army during World War II. They didn't see action, but they still got a GI Bill. I'm not saying that, that undermines all my family's hard work, but I do have some privilege, and the GI Bill should have been available to everyone. Instead, it was denied based on skin color, and that infuriates me. And then, of course, housing was too. As you saw, but also see why people back John Brown even with his violent methods, because if you make peaceful revolution impossible, you make violent revolution inevitable. Which is why California passed gun control laws as soon as they saw Black Panthers carrying. Just saying. Might be a slight romanticization, but I'm gonna look into the history. Yeah, it's really cool to see these interpretations through visual arts. Oh man, the symbolism here. Direct allegory to Christ's crucifixion. Man. What was the name of that? Oh, the TV show Women of the Movement, for as long as it's up to watch for people anyway, is a very harrowing depiction of the death of Emmett Till and the fight for rights afterwards. I can't believe it. I mean, I can, but it still shocks the conscience. I was wondering what that statue was earlier, and turns out it was a Harriet Tubman memorial, which was my first guess. But I completely missed this painting. Goodness. Sandro de Medici. Oh. I have been very fascinated by the history of the de Medicis and my research for the Delta Papers, so this will be an interesting research track to go on. So this one guy messed a lot of things up, it seems. Fake blood on there. Oh. A horror. I can't even imagine. Which is why they're like, oh, we gotta stop talking about slavery so much. Excuse you, we barely talked about it at all. Oh, that's fascinating. I love Byzantine art. Perspective is definitely important. I mean, the reason that we have the mosaics that are up towards the ceiling in cathedrals is so that people can crane up their necks and look at that and admire God and admire the patron who bought that, who made that. But I really admire this artist for taking inspiration from Byzantium, of all things. Amazing. And for a very pointed purpose, which is so powerful. Anyway. I think that's straight. I might end up rescheduling my visit to the Air and Space Museum to next weekend and doing like one museum a weekend and really deep diving. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. That's definitely what I'm gonna do. Such an amazing quote. Between art and need. That's usually the tension for the Black community, it seems, a lot of the time. Which is unfortunate, but sometimes that does create great art. I also love the TV show Roots from the 70s. I need to see that again. That was the first movie, or the first miniseries, excuse me, or just first video that I ever rented from Blockbuster as a kid back in the early aughts when I was starting to really get into history. And then we moved on to Netflix and I rented Super Size Me from that, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway. Hourglass pattern. Really, really cool. Again, this is going to be invaluable for my research and hopefully for my fiance who sees all this amazing Black art through this video. Oh boy. Well. I did not know that. Yeah, you can ban the slave trade, but its legacy is still there. And I think there are more people enslaved now than there were during the Atlantic slave trade. Horrific, but sadly true. Because we can't just have nice history. We have to have an understanding of the terrible parts of history too. Otherwise, people are ensconced in a make-believe world, which is what the fascists want, to hide all this. So everything is make-believe, and they get to make the belief. Anyway. He fits of a person. The constitutional argument at the time was that people in bondage who couldn't vote would, inflate the measurement statistics in a similar way that Trump wants to have a mid-decade census that he's never going to get to eliminate undocumented people who can't vote. But you need an accurate representation of all the people who are there for taxation purposes, at least until the 17th Amendment, or the 16th Amendment. Yeah, it was the 16th Amendment for income taxes. Anyway, so as a result of that, they didn't want southern states to get representation unduly, so 3/5 of a person. It was simple and clean and logical, but cold and calculating and evil, because these were human beings. They should have been a whole person, and they should have been able to have citizenship and vote. But this was an era where white men of property could vote, and that was it. But again, the white people were counted as whole people. Anyway. I can't breathe. Crap. I wonder if this is about drowning in the ocean or having your neck melt on. Water table. Oh, prohibited chokehold. Oh. There we go. Yeah, it is definitely about the choke. I had thought maybe because of the water table stuff that it was about drowning. And in a similar way that the world of Drexciya was about women who fell overboard in the Atlantic slave trade and ended up giving birth to mermaids. Very fascinating mythology constructed from sea liner notes. But anyway. wonder why they're referencing Philip Gustav. There we go. I see. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the creators of Superman were Jewish, and they had him fight the Klan in the 40s, so pretty neat. A little cartoon parody. Yeah, handing that guy a dog whistle. I guess. No threat. That looks like Spider-Man's mask. I hope that since the introduction of Miles Morales, that has been a little bit less. I don't know. Probably not, but maybe, especially because my little man is going to come here hopefully in 5 years, and he'll be 14 and just seen as another black teenager. And that weighs on me heavily. Young, black, and definitely gifted, this guy. Oh, fascinating. Seems like a take on Greek pottery. Motifs of waves and swords and shields and all. Terracotta. It's very elegant, for sure. So that's just a self-description, not a depiction of quality. Because wow, just all the different hairstyles on the top that have been minimized by our culture for far too long. And, oh gosh. The motifs in the life of African Americans all throughout, and many of them bad. So, well, that can be depicted positively, but can lead to positive racism as well, unfortunately. Because we can never have anything nice without racism, it seems. Interfering. Or just being like, I don't exist. Shut up. Stop talking about me. There's quite a lot of different inspirations ranging from African masks, Spanish bullfighting. I wondered if some of the storytelling of this piece is reflected in the shadows, but I'm not entirely sure that that's intentional, or it might just be a lighting thing. That is a lot of gold, that's for sure. This is so amazing to me to see, because I believe in the ability of my wonderful, sweet, handsome black boy. I love him so much, and I can't wait for him to be here. And I'm so scared too. He is still flying. He will always be. Fascinating look at the Apollo moon lander too. Star Trek, yeah, that's amazing. Apparently, Martin Luther King. Oh yeah, Nichelle Nichols would have left Star Trek if it weren't for Martin Luther King convincing her, because his kids loved her on TV. So, props to Gene Roddenberry for pushing for the interracial kiss on TV, even if it was through mind control as well. But man, what a beautiful piece, and an interesting thing to contrast with the Air and Space Museum. Well, this photograph is almost certainly getting taken down, because it very heavily references Black Lives Matter, and that's not kosher in Donald Trump's America. But what an amazing contrast between the hateful present and past of America and the more aspirational present and future that America has always striven for. We've always been in tension with that. A country half slave and half free, unfortunately, whether it's called slavery or not. Another Byzantine motif? I'm being really spoiled today. At least I think that's what it might be. Oh. Leonardo da Vinci, huh? I mean, that was also definitely influenced by the Byzantines, because their scholars fled the collapse of Constantinople and came to Italy and kickstarted the Renaissance, so it's not too far off. But still, this is a very powerful commentary about the absence of African historical narratives, and that's a hard thing to rectify without more societal push for that, which I thought was happening, and then nothing, because people didn't want the uncomfortable history. Notably, this is the first exhibit that I've seen with benches on it for people to actually sit down. This will definitely be a video that a portion of the video that my fiance and her best friend will like, because wow, these ladies are stylish and they are quite at rest, which is nice. Kitten meal. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it should. Oh, that's even older than I thought. Huh. Well, I can see why it's coveted then. Again, the even more retro style than I thought. Again, I thought it was more like 1920s for some reason. Like, maybe throwing back to 18th century is what I was subconsciously thinking, but not like based on that kind of thing, because I need to do more research on 18th century art, clearly. Interesting books. World we make. Well, let's hope none of them get banned. Even when this exhibit gets taken down. Books want to be free. Yeah, foreign rest is resistance, is what I've been hearing, and I'm trying to do that. It's hard to relax with all the stupid crap happening in DC, but we will rest. All of us. Look at Shonda being fancy. So cool.
It's a status completed sent to World 799.
Taking a quick break for the coolest view of the Washington Monument and the rest of that part of the mall. Huh. I am so glad I finally came here. And American Express is probably going to kowtow and get rid of its sponsorship at this gallery. F you. Definitely getting this book, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be familiar with a lot of these, like, say, Ben's Chili Bowl, or just, Georgia Avenue Petworth, or what have you, but always more to learn when you're a history nerd. That's my outlook. I don't really need another hat, because I have one already. And I'm going to be wearing this one quite a bit more, but I do want to wear it anyway because the president is trying to get rid of this museum in all but name, and I want to show my support. And now that I've gotten a hat, the book, and this amazing reusable bag, let's continue with the tour.
It's a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the conditions we have known, we're still here, still managing through it to find a way to live life with dignity and a certain amount of nobility.
As opposed to, say, pulling up the ladder, which is a common motif nowadays.
We had to make our own. That's the way it was.
And again, great food and art and clothing and so much else came out of that. I wish it had come under better circumstances, of course, but it's still, you know, amazing to see what people created. Rosenwald schools, yeah. That was funded by the guy who co-founded Sears. And he was able to use his code switching between perceptions of being white and being himself Jewish to communicate back and forth with wealthy donors and African American schools to build that in the South. So, fascinating stuff. Alethea Tanner freed 16 of her family members from slavery and founded the first African American Methodist Church in D.C. And now she has a beautiful park named after her in Noma Gallaudet. So I would recommend checking that out at some point for sure. Oh, well, I wonder what that is specifically, but I'll look it up later. No way. You've been ripped away from your homeland to pick up scraps of culture that haven't been destroyed. I don't know. Yeah, I think many people would rightfully criticize violent revolution as a last resort, but you know, trying to make your own institutions makes sense. Interfaith leaders, let's see. Probably 0 of them are Baha'is, despite their claims to be supportive of interfaith dialogue. They probably haven't done much at all.
I'm not gonna say
how much of it is going to be taken down from exhibition, because we cannot promote anything other than Christianity in fascist America. I wonder what kind of exhibits the children of the future will be seeing. Probably this will be among them, but I imagine that a lot of the labels will again be edited. All these speaker system for that. That was like a year before Dred Scott, so she got in under the wire there. Woman. Why not the woman is because of some misinterpretation of Paul from back in the day, because that guy messed everything up. Or messed up what little good Jesus Christ as a philosopher brought to the world in his lifetime. Anyway. But, well, people reinterpret religion all the time. And just because somebody said something from 2,000 years ago does not mean that that has to be the same thing. And that shows. Because he was very much in support of slavery at the time. Anyway. I should say obey the lawful orders of the President of the United States. Because right now, the National Guard is being used as political pawns, as a false Praetorian Guard, in unconstitutional ways. Fortunately, they have him in order to shoot protesters or participate in immigration arrests. But if they get sent to cities where he does not have the authority to do so, that is unconstitutional, and they need to remember their oath. The oath of enlistment is not much different than the oath the President of the United States takes to the Constitution. And so he has broken that. Therefore, he has betrayed his oath of office. And once impeached and removed, must be dealt with accordingly.
Almost 40% of them were African American. After the Gulf War,
We're not going to have any references to diversity in a year.
Congress allowed women to serve on combat lists.
Because one white president is upset about it.
Now African American women are serving.
Drumming on this, but it's true.
In 2014, Michelle Thompson was promoted 4-star admiral in the U.S. Navy.
She is a great example of how much we as a Navy and a nation lose if we put artificial barriers in. If we don't judge people based on their ability.
I wonder what will happen to the Smithsonian channel as well once federal funding is threatened.
Get all that for it, man. Get all that for it. Army George, this is tough.
Well, how nice. I wish we hadn't been in Iraq in the first place, but still.
By World War I, the 1960s were a difficult time.
Oh, it's going backwards. I see.
I think it is. Life after the military. For some Americans, military services offer training and encourage habits that prove valuable in life. By William Bond. Author Alex Haley he wrote Roots. Governor Douglas Wilder was the first black governor of Virginia. And entrepreneur Earl Graves went on to great success after in the military. Yet other veterans have been able to escape the hardships of service. Medal of Honor recipient Dwight Johnson was diagnosed with PTSD and shot and killed in a robbery in 1997. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like, oh, we will Republic.
And all of that's going to get edited.
Right? Tell him. Tell him. So
President Trump has signed an executive order targeting the Smithsonian museums for editing.
We know.
And it's so frustrating me, so I've just been kind of recording all over.
Take down the bottom levels where the stuff that he doesn't want you to see is going to be. So he's starting to do that stuff.
All the slavery stuff, all this
military
stuff.
Anything Islamic from like from the Nation of Islam, yeah, from Muhammad Ali.
Like, nah, bro, nah.
Or they're gonna have all the things that are nice and fluffy and positive, but edit the descriptions to make it sound like things were less hard. Stop talking about slavery so much.
Literally. I was like,
Speaking of executive orders, at least there was integration in the military, starting with that. But sometimes that can be a double-edged sword. The president can do things to help people with executive orders, and then he can punish his enemies with executive orders. So we really need a better way to balance all that. But anyway. I'd love to see a movie about the Seabees. I'm sure there's one out there. Well, I hope there's one out there. There's more like it. Not gonna be allowed to be depicted soon as the women who joined the fight. Fucking fascist pigs. They're gonna get rid of all this. We're heavily edited. Anyway. Wow. Being inside a tank that small could not have been fun for 4 people? 4 people. Well. Maybe this will be kept because it'll be positive, but again, probably some things changed. I could be here all day just looking up these people's stories, but I kind of had to do a quick overview. I'm gonna hover over for a few seconds so you can pause. Interesting phrasing. Might be slightly euphemistic about the. Well, I guess they can't call it the Indian Wars now, but like the wars of brutal colonialism for America. But you know, they still serve their country, so I don't blame them. Man's most liberating technology. Not allowed for some people to keep them chained.
Encouraged African Americans to demand equality in exchange for their service to the nation. But history had shown that promises made in the heat of battle were soon forgotten.
This film will probably be forgotten soon, once it's censored.
In the 1700s, African Americans were among the first to shed blood for the country's freedom. But at war's end, many enslaved men were returned to bondage.
And many enslaved men fought for the British, along with Native Americans. I wish they would have mentioned that, but I get why they're glossing over it a little bit.
And in World War I, they laid their lives on the line for freedom abroad. And returned home to race riots
Unbelievable.
in more than 30 cities.
I mean, it's logically believable, unfortunately, because as a history major, it's just, it's disturbingly common, but still unbelievable to the human conscience.
And when their country was in need, they pushed for the chance to fight again.
Yet in every branch of service, African Americans provide essential
True democracy.
The ugly specter of fascism and racism abroad forced America to look at its own principles at home.
Well, it took another 15 years or so to really confront it, but still.
Returned to grateful families and segregated communities.
Once it was on TV, that was a big part of it.
They continued to fight for equality as they defended.
Like a lot of the reasons the George Floyd protests got as big as they did. The virality of them via online sharing of that video.
By the Gulf War in 1990, American troops finally reflected American diversity.
Oh no, the banned word diversity.
In uniform 2 centuries earlier, now led the entire armed forces.
Hey, Colin Powell, good for him that he also shielded for the Bush administration's lies about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, but still.
From the beginning, African Americans marched under a flag that stood for principles not yet fully realized. They helped steer the country's course from
America is a nation not yet fully realized because it's always growing. At least that was the idea. Yeah, with all its flaws. True.
Of our highest ideals of freedom, equality, and opportunity for all.
That we already met, so stop talking about it. According to President Trump. All right, well.
You felt when Daddy was in the military. Before you were born. Yeah, so you wore those on his uniform.
Evelyn Hollis. Never heard about her for 40 days, so my mind is really opening because of this one museum. And that's the point. To show you perspectives that you might not have otherwise realized. In incredible detail with beautifully preserved artifacts. And that's what the fascists don't want. They want us dumb and complacent. And if America is fine, then we don't have to fight for it to be better. That's why they want to gut this museum. And the rest of the Smithsonian with it. All because a bunch of Saudi billionaires decided to put some thoughts in Trump's head about, oh, America talks about slavery too much. Fuck them. Anyway. That's going to be very fascinating to think about for when I talk about presidents in November for the Delta Papers #3, America's Dangerous President Worship, since Teddy Roosevelt is a key figure in my narrative of his massive expansion of presidential power alongside his cousin FDR, and so that will be an important point to mention for sure. I may have to end this tour soon without having done nearly the amount of filming to try to preserve this that I thought I would. So if you like this, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'm gonna do a museum every weekend, I think, instead of 2 museums in one day or whatever. And I could absolutely come back to this one for more if that's what people want, because I would. Definitely.
In every theater of the war, more than 1 million.
On the other hand, it could be good to do one museum per video to get a good cross section. We shall see. Anyway. Fort Pillow Massacre. Oh. Fucking slavery. Rape and Confederate racism. Yeah, a little over dramatized, I could see that, but still horrific even without that.
It was an isolated and often dangerous.
Well, he didn't really get to enjoy his victory for very long. Ooh. I could spend an hour staring at this one exhibit alone. Because, you know, it's interesting. I don't like war, obviously, but I love reading about it. I love reading about the history of military campaigns and maneuvers and battle lines and logistics and military technology and, you know, the heroic, for lack of a better word, moments that can sometimes happen with these things. And, you know, a lot of people sacrificed a lot to try and earn their freedom that they shouldn't have had to earn. But, well, this was the war that ended slavery.
In 1861, the issue of slavery threatened to tear the nation apart.
1854.
Decided the future of the country.
Oh, boy.
For African Americans,
well,
this personal. They demanded
state laws passed in northern states helped make sure that that was practically unenforceable in much of the North. And something similar might need to be done to drastically slow or stop ICE from making illegal arrests of people without due process, and to drive out the National Guard units that tried to occupy blue cities. For more than lawsuits. Anyway.
Union waters in Charleston Harbor. Finally, in 1863, African Americans were allowed to join the Union Army. Thousands rushed to serve. Enough enlisted to create almost 150 colored regiments. They joined the...
Yes, the Revolutionary War. Wow, asshole. And this was the guy we made our first president. Well, he also has 900 slaves buried in a mass grave that was only found recently. I've been to Mount Vernon, and that really makes you confront some things. done more. Very shrewd of him.
And I won that contest. I never won. We had first grade readers like, of course, I think just about everybody had Dick and Jane and Sally and Spot and Puff. The teacher could Spanish. You know, so she kept pretty much order. She stand you in the corner, you know, and you could get a whipping. And if you were bad enough to get a whipping at school and your parents found out about it, you got another one coming. Yeah. We used to do plays in the school. We had a stage back there. To support the school, a lot of times we had cakewalks.
Probably had to raise enough money to keep operating with how few resources that, quote, separate but equal educational institutions actually got in the South. Yep, Julius Rosenwald, like I mentioned. I gotta think on the name of the documentary for a minute and get back to you guys. Okay, so the film is just titled Rosenwald. It's kind of expensive to get on DVD, so I'm hoping I can retrieve it from my friend that I loaned it out to forever ago, and I never got it back. But, well, if I have to, I can buy another copy and talk about that, because that is fascinating. A bit of intersectionality, as I mentioned earlier in the video, so what a well-run logistical operation. Julius Rosenwald fun, huh? Well, you really did a lot of people a lot of good. DC scientist proves in race and theory a myth. That is gonna be, I never realized that. That is going to be amazing to look at. Scientific. Really pseudoscience, because, well, if science is whatever it needs to be to promote political ends, then it's not really science. Of course, the people who are currently censoring science are going to say, oh, science has been politicized, blah, blah, for left-leaning things. It's just that the facts support liberalism, not conservatism, idiots. Howard University. Still an amazing school, lots of cool people go there, and lots of young African-American lawyers going to that school in the area where I live, so pretty neat. Anyway, let's see. Okay. Unfortunately, people still have to deal with practical segregation of medical care. When it comes to mental health services, for instance, it can be very difficult to find a black therapist. I found a black therapist before my black friend did, which is ridiculous. That should never have been a thing. But the way insurance works sucks in general, and also promotes this kind of inequality. That is a globe. An old-timey globe. I love any kind of globe, but especially one that old. Unfortunately, it appears that Singapore was devastated by natural disaster, but the rest of the world seems intact. Let's see. Circa 1940s. So Let's see if they have any kind of, I mean, some of it is faded, so it might be a little bit hard to tell, but, seems like this is just before the Japanese invasion of Southeast Asia, because they're still in French Indochina and British Burma and stuff like that. '67. Dang. Nice to hear. Go you, Michigan. Oh, Ben Carson, you really were such a smart man who threw it all away to support a fascist. America can be changed. It will be changed. And that's why the people who don't want it to change, or who want a very different kind of change than one that will promote rights for all, want the past erased. If you control the past, you control the present. And if you control the present, you control the future. I believe that's a paraphrase from 1984, but I'll have to look that up later. Niagara movement. Lots of civil rights conferences at Niagara Falls. Probably or just falls in general. Just some symbolism, probably, of, because waterfalls always change. It's always water carving through rock to change something, to erode whatever was there before. An educated guess, again.
I was in the Pullman service at that time.
Huh, a woman on the Pullman line.
I wanted
Did not know that.
to go to Woolworths to get some manicuring things.
I need to find out where some of these documentaries are hosted on the Smithsonian channel before they're taken down for good, or what have you, by Paramount after kneeling for the dictator.
So I questioned him, and he said that they would not hire any black clerks. We are picketing this store and the south side and the main store downtown. All black people is to stay out.
Ouch.
So I said, fine, I'll go. That made quite an impression on me. So we organized
I can't even imagine.
this club, this organization, to get people to trade.
And organizations like the NAACP are why we
found out
have the rights we have today, and why they're being defended so thoroughly as they are. It's still not enough, because we need institutional checks and balances, and those are being eroded rapidly, but still, the people ultimately oversee the government. That's who watches the Watchmen.
A little small place, a little meat shop.
No trespassing. Ugh. So many trespassing and jaywalking and loitering laws were just gigantic excuses to throw black people in prison and re-enslave them that way through the loophole in the 13th Amendment about that. But, well, good on these students for striking in 1951. My goodness, that must have been harrowing to try back then.
20 years ago, he came to these hallowed grounds to demand our freedom. But 20 years later, we do not have equality.
I wish Martin Luther King could have lived to see this. He probably would have been very old. Yeah, like in his mid-50s, but still. We need another one of these. There is no way that they can arrest everyone. That's what the 100,000 people who fought for LGBTQ rights in Hungary, of all places, showed. And that's what people should show again. Especially as campaigning ramps up towards the midterms. That he's trying to fucking steal. Like a dictator. Organizing for success. yeah. When you can't rely on anybody but your own community, it makes sense to organize thoroughly for your own community. Lord and Pin. Nice. Oh, that is so cool looking. And cool was a word invented in African American vernacular English in, I believe, the 50s, and then kind of mainstream in the 70s. Again, this is off the top of my head. I'm going to look it up later. Transit pass, huh? There's the main National Museum of American History castle across the way, I think. It's a very interesting choice of viewing angles that way. Well, how about that? It is a stage for change. Again, we gotta claim this space with as many people as possible to stop this unconstitutional power grab. That battle does not look fun. Oh, I did not know so many prominent black people were in Greeks. Cool. Independent Order of St. Luke. Huh. I wonder if it's still around or like merged with someone or just closed down. And I'll look that up later. Now, that is such an awesome bust of someone who appears to be an awesome lady that people should talk more about. And now I'm helping that, I hope. Muhammad Ali is activist. Again, I highly recommend the podcast about that. Making a way out of no way. The power of the press to expose the truth. That's why the president wants the press silenced through vexatious litigation, through executive orders that have no force of law, through just sheer personal bullying. He's trying to silence the First Amendment, and I will not let him. I will also not let him remove people like Mary and Carey and many other prominent African American women. Well, unfortunately, due to my battery declining precipitously, I will have to end the video tour here, but I'll be taking as many pictures as I can before I go. And I want to salute Mr. Churchwell as my final portion of this video, because I hope that I can contribute to the cause of underground journalism in a similar way that he did for local journalism, and at great risk to himself. So, I salute you.